Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastam Sarvadharma Swarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Ayate Namaha. We are studying here Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, fifth part, Master in Divine Mood and Narendranath, and we are reading the second section of the 8th chapter called Narendra's Learning from the World and from the Master. And in the first section, we have seen all the mental or intellectual struggle of Narendra. And then how he had to, because of Thakur, he was saved, his atheism was saved, and Thakur taught him a new method of meditation and how he nicely succeeded in that. And in the second section, we have started with his father making him assistant to an attorney and trying for his marriage, which was getting delayed because Narendra was strongly opposed and because the father was not getting a daughter-in-law to his liking. And then Narendra was staunch in his brahmacharya. And Thakur used to go to him quite often and tell him about brahmacharya. And if you follow brahmacharya, your Medha Nadi will be opened. Now this was heard by his grandmother. And she told the other members of the family. And so they became very much afraid that Naren, because of these sadhus, will become a sadhu. But they could not oppose his going to Dakshineshwar because he had a free will. And they thought reverse may happen. So he continued in the visiting Thakur, and at the very outset we read those 4 things. Narendra spent his time in seclusion, in studies and the practice of austerity, and in frequenting Dakshineshwar. Now, what happened? But no food in the house. We are coming with that. He had friends. Bhavanath, he met in Thakur's place. Then Bhavanath's friend was there, Satkodi Lahiri. He was known to Narendranath. And Narendranath's classmate was there, Dashrathi Sandhya. All 3 people lived in Baranagar. So Naren used to quite often go there and sing songs from afternoon to night, and sometimes spend a day or 2 there. And when on such a visit, at 10 o'clock in the night, his father died. All of a sudden. Though he was feeling some exhaustion for some days, but nobody had expected that. And at 2 o'clock, one person informed him in Bhavanath's house. So immediately he came and found that everything had changed. His father had earned a lot but spent much more, and the family was in debt. And all those who had become rich by his father's support, they became enemies, and they wanted to drive them out from the house also. And Narendra is searching for job and not getting any job. One day when he was tired sitting in Maidan, one of his friends sang Krupa Ghana Vahine, and Narendra was totally upset and told him, don't, only those who are in luxury, they may sing. So I also thought it is all imagination. And then one day, but he, Bhagwan, God is there and God is all good. This had not gone from Narendra's mind. So every day in the morning he used to get up and pray to God. One day his mother scolded him because of penury. She scolded him, you are taking God's name always and this is what God has given you. And then a doubt of atheism crept in. But he had so many experiences, originally and with Thakur, that he could not become an atheist. But whether the God can be known or not. So this was his condition. And then because of mother's scolding, he started talking that those who go to brother, prostitute's house, and drink wine, if by that they can find some joy, I will not object. And if I feel sometime that can give some temporary joy, I will also go there. Because that was his habit, to speak out everything. And that reached the devotees. And through them to Thakur also. And devotees came to test him. Then he used to deliberately talk like that. And they went with the conviction that they thought he has gone bad. Then he thought that if Thakur thinks like that, let him think, because human judgment is this value. But later on he knew that Thakur never thought like that. And when Bhavanath one day wept and said, we did not expect Naren will go so down, Thakur scolded him. Mother has showed me he will never do this. If you talk like this again, I will not see your face. But what to do? That was the condition. Then one day, exhausted, in the night, he slept on that one extended there, in front of the house. So there he slept. Slept means could not control, and he could not sleep. And layer after layer of his mind got opened. One funny thing, yesterday I did not comment, today I am commenting, that he saw. His question was, after that mother scolding, that in the rule of the benign Lord, why there is misery? And whether God is kind or just, the both cannot stay together. And he got answers to all these questions. The funny thing is that he is not telling us what are the answers. Because these are the questions everybody faces in life. And Narendra got the answers. So I am not telling about in the world what are the causes. Do you understand?
Yes.
That means when we go to that condition only we can know that is unless we will not go through that, but unless the layers of our mind open, we can't understand Maya. So that is the point. Then also he understood that his life is not for the worldly life. And he decided to become a sannyasi. And he fixed a good day for that. And he heard that Thakur is coming to Calcutta on that day. So he thought, I will make pranam to my guru and go away. But Thakur held him. Today you must come to Dakshineshwar. And whatever he gave excuses, Thakur did not agree. So with Thakur's carriage, he had to go to Dakshineshwar. And there in front of all, Thakur came, held him, and started weeping that, oh Radha, we are afraid to lose you. He understood that Thakur has known everything. And because he got that sympathy from Thakur. So all the well of feeling which he had checked burst, burst and he also started weeping. When they came to normal, people asked what had happened. Thakur said, between us something happened. So it was this, up to this we had come. Now this was a great turning point in Narendra's life. If Kant philosophy was a turning point, now this is much more bigger turning point. Because Narendra did not believe, you see, first he did not believe in Advaita, but Thakur made him believe. And when he started believing in Advaita, then he did not believe in Maya. He did not believe in image worship. He did not believe in mother, because that he used to tell Thakur, it is all your mind's play. So that is the point now. So we come to this para 19. Thakur told him, don't take sannyas so long as I am alive. So in this we find 2 points. Now if he goes away, his life is not yet fulfilled, his own, which is going to be fulfilled with Thakur's help. And he is going to work for Thakur. Who will do that if he goes away? And he has to suffer still more because he has to come to this illumination about mother. These are the 3 important points. He should not become like Totapuri. So Totapuri got illumination with the help of Thakur. So Thakur told him, don't go to so long as I am here. From there we pick up. The parading is, he thought of removing the poverty of the family with providential help and requested the master importunately for this. The master asked him to go to the Kali temple and pray for it. So that is going to be the turning point. Because Thakur has not asked me to go, so Thakur has to provide for me. I took, and all this is in Narendra's narration going on, full chapter almost. I took leave of the master and returned home the next day. So that night he spent in Dakshineshwar. And immediately 100 thoughts about the family occupied my mind. I now began going from place to place as before and made various kinds of efforts. I worked in the office of an attorney and translated a few books. You know, one is during this time or do not know, Imitation of Christ he had translated. And like that, some music book he has written an introduction and translated a part of it. So he says, and translated a few books, as a result of which I earned a little money. And the household was being managed somehow. But that is credit to his mother. She used to spend 1,000 rupees and now she is managing in 30 rupees. And previously we have found he did not, because of his pride, he did not express his condition to anybody. And the rich people did not ask him. And the people who had gone to bad days because of poverty, they tried to pull him. They felt sympathy, they tried to pull him. And then women, 2 women tempted him and he just scolded them and removed them. But these were all temporary jobs. And in the absence of any permanent work, one more point had come. He is not given name there. Some friend knew about my condition from indirectly and he used to send money to my mother in anonymous letters. He knew and it was Master Mashinandi. And in the absence of any permanent work, no smooth arrangement for the maintenance of mother and brothers could be made. I remembered a little later. So this comes from within the mind now. That God would grant the master's prayers. You see, beautiful thing. I do not believe in mother, but Thakur knows mother. Thakur does not believe, Thakur knows mother. And whatever he wills comes out because of mother's grace. That is what he talks always. So, and he loves me at these three factors. He has asked me not to go. So if I catch Thakur and ask him to pray, my days will be all right. That thought came. So many factors are there in this. I remembered a little later that God would grant the master's prayers. I must make him pray for me, so that the sufferings of my mother and brothers for want of food and clothing might be removed. He would never refuse to do so for my sake. I hurried to Dakshineshwar as soon as this thought came and asked persistently that he must pray to the mother that the pecuniary difficulty of my mother and brothers might be removed. The master said to me affectionately, "Why don't you yourself pray?" That means he has come to half belief. Why not he come to full belief? You don't accept the mother, that is why you suffer so much. You understand the philosophy between it. In Thakur had said, I don't want to become a dry sadhu, I want to rasya pushatharpa. That is not enjoyment. That is accepting the immanence of God. These Advaiti generally talk of only transcendence. So, because he does not accept the immanence of God or power of God, so his suffering does not go. This is a great principle in our practical life. As Thakur made Tota believe like that. That we must think, if we are Thakur's disciple, not dry Shankaracharyas, Shankarites, that God is transcendent and immanent, and God is gracious. And God helps us for spiritual sadhana, that is His grace. If you want to progress spiritually, and there is a place of prayer. So Thakur is asking him, why don't you pray? That means you will believe fully. Now see the language, important language, as I told you just now. You don't accept the mother, that is why you suffer so much. If you accept the mother, she takes care of you. If you accept only Thakur, he will grind you. He will give you Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But I replied, I have no knowledge of the mother. Let me see. Thakur বলছেন, you do not accept the mother, মানো না না। স্বামীজি বলছেন, আমি জানি না। স্বামীজি কোনো জিনিসটাই মানতে ready নাই till he knows. You have understood? Mental acceptance and knowledge are different things. And Swamiji's constitution is such that he is not ready to mentally accept anything unless he knows. In Bengali, this is so clear. In English, you have to understand. Thakur said, you don't accept it mentally. And Swamiji says, I do not know her. But he knows that Thakur knows her. I replied, I have no knowledge of the mother. Please pray to mother yourself for my sake. That means Thakur knows. Pray you must. I will not leave you unless you do so. Because mutual love, he can force himself on Thakur. The master said with affection, I prayed to the mother many times, indeed, to remove your sufferings. But as you do not accept mother, she does not grant the prayer straight away. Well, today is Tuesday. Tuesday is a holy day for Kali Mother. A day especially sacred to Mother. Mother will, I say, grant you whatever you ask for. Go to the temple tonight and bowing down to her, pray for a boon. My affectionate mother is the power of Brahman. She is pure consciousness embodied. She has given birth to the universe according to her will. What can she not do which she wills? So here what has happened? Narendra's mind has come to partial acceptance. And Thakur's words will make him accept. Because Thakur knows. Naren knows that Thakur knows. And Thakur is telling by conviction. And he is telling the Swarup of the mother. She is not different from Brahman. She is the power of Brahman. She has created the world. So why not she remove your poverty? And you have to accept her. An incident has come through WhatsApp message to me. About 15, 20 years back, that incident. One sadhu, he was a householder. He was traveling by train. And in that same in that same compartment, one very rich businessman, his young, beautiful wife, and their infant child were sitting. And suddenly, when the train is in high speed, from the latrine, one stout-looking big man comes with pistol and two knives. And by threatening, he gets the ornament box of the lady and throws it out the window. And in the child, there was a golden chain. So he took the child and threw him. And next he jumped. Now they were suddenly shaken, but somehow they pulled the chain. Somebody was there. Then the train had to stop up. Several miles it has gone. But the driver agreed. And he brought the train back. First, they will come to that spot where that man jumped. They saw that man has dashed against a signal and is dead and full of blood is like that. Then they still brought back. Where the child was thrown. The child had a hook or something. And where that hook is hanging on a tree bush. And is swinging nicely, happily. Unaware of anything. He was thrown. That hook got caught in a bush. And his coping had a bush. So coping became like a swing and he's swinging. Langot. Then they still brought back that jewelry box. was crushed but not broken. Seeing this man became a sannyasi.
Seeing this incident, he becomes sannyasi.
Anyway, so I am telling you is what God cannot do if He wishes. He will not do what you wish, but He wishes. He is both kind and just. Thakur also saying, what she cannot do, which she wills. Narendra had the vision of the Divine Mother and forgot the universe. Now that filled up Narendra. A firm faith arose in my mind that all the suffering should certainly come to an end as soon as I prayed to the Mother, inasmuch as the Master had said so. When Master had touched him, he saw all Brahman. So if the Master has said, it will happen. Up till now, Master is not pressing him. He used to tell Master, it is your mental play. Let it be. He wanted him to accept by himself willingly. Now this situation has become the point. I waited for the night in great expectancy in the mind. The night arrived at last. 3 hours of the night had elapsed when the Master asked me to go to the holy temple. As I was going, a sort of profound inebriation possessed me. I was reeling. A firm conviction gripped me that I would actually see Mother. And hear her words. I forgot all other things and became completely merged in that thought alone. So his spirituality has come up now.
Only single thought.
Thakur has said she will accept, but Naren knows now she will see her, talk to her, she will talk to me. And forget about money. Coming into the temple, I saw that Mother was actually pure consciousness, was actually living, and was really the fountainhead of infinite love and beauty. All this he saw. Fountainhead, that means not only she is beautiful, but she is the source of all beauty. Love, infinite love and beauty. My heart swelled with loving devotion, and beside myself with bliss, I made repeated salutations to her, praying, Mother, grant me discrimination, grant me detachment, grant me divine knowledge and devotion. Ordain that I may always have an unobstructed vision of you. My heart was flooded with peace. The whole universe completely disappeared and Mother alone remained filling my heart. Thrice he went to the Kali temple to pray for the removal of poverty, and each time he prayed for Vivek, etc. Little difference is there, we shall see that. No sooner had I returned to the Master than he asked, did you pray to Mother for the removal of your worldly wants? Thakur knew that you would murder her. Startled at the question, I said, no, sir, I forgot to do so. So what should I do now? He said, go quickly again and pray to her. I started for the temple once more and coming to Mother's presence became inebriated again. I forgot everything, bowed down to her repeatedly and prayed for the realization of divine knowledge and devotion before I came back. The Master smiled and said he knew. Well, did you tell her this time? I was startled again and said, no, sir, Hardly had I seen mother when I forgot everything on account of the influence of an indescribable divine power and prayed for knowledge and devotion only. And what we pray for every small things we pray to God. What's to be done now? The master said, silly boy, could you not control yourself a little and make that prayer? Go once more if you can and tell her those words. Quick. I started a third time. But there is difference now. Master told him to control. But as soon as I entered the temple, a formidable sense of shame occupied my heart. He did not forget, but he did not want it. I thought, what a trifling thing I have come to ask of. So much that families are dying, and it's a trifling thing. To ask of mother, it is, as the master often says, just like the folly of asking a king, having received his grace, for goats and pumpkins. If king is pleased, you ask for a land or big property. That day you do not have pumpkin in your house. Say, ask for a pumpkin. How low is my intellect? Overpowered with shame and aversion, I bowed down to her over and over again and say, I don't want anything else. Mother, do grant me divine knowledge and devotion only. When I came out from the temple, it occurred to me that it was certainly the play of the master. Otherwise, how was it that I could not speak the whole words, though I came to pray for it? Came to pray to her as many as 3 times. Then I insisted that he must ensure for my mother and brother. He himself is God now, he has to. To him he can insist, but mother, because he is in a human form there, and mother is consciousness only. He must ensure for my mother and brothers freedom from lack of food and clothing, saying, it is certainly you who made me intoxicated that way. He said affectionately to me, my child, I can never offer such a prayer for anyone. Not that he does not love him, but for himself he cannot ask. First he had said that I had told her, but you do not accept her, so. But he said, I cannot pray for it. It does not indeed come out of my mouth. You would, I told you, get from mother whatever you wanted, but you could not ask her for it. You are not meant for worldly happiness. This is the conclusion. You see, if one is born for a mission, he cannot go against it. You are not born for worldly enjoyment. He wanted to become a sannyasi now. You are not meant for worldly happiness. What am I to do? I said, that won't do, sir. You must utter the prayer for my sake. It is my firm conviction that they will be free from all sufferings if you only say so. As I kept on persisting, he said, well, they will never be in want of plain food and clothing. That means only the needs will be fulfilled. They will not become rich, you will not become rich. मोटा भात कपड़े रखवा ना. And we today, Narendra got faith in the worship of God in symbols and images. Great was the joy of the master at this. Pratik, Pratima. That is another point. God can be worshipped through them. Shakti and Pratik Pratima. Otherwise, if his life is not fulfilled, Thakur said in the beginning of my Thakur was afraid. He has so much power that he will preach some one-sided religion and destroy the world. Now Thakur has become fully convinced about it. Great was the joy of the master. What has been said above is, it is superfluous to say, an important event in the life of Narendra Nath. The hidden meaning of the motherhood of God, that is one thing. God can be accepted as mother. This relational aspect, the Brahmas and other Christians pray God is Father, or God is Nirakar, no personal relation, but God is mother. The hidden meaning of the motherhood of God and of his worship in symbols and images had not been comprehended by him. He had not comprehended it because of his that Western mold of mind. Comprehended by him so long. Before this, he had looked upon the images of the deities installed in the temples with contempt, never with love and respect. Tota said, na, like a low man. Roti tokte. The whole mystery of such worship now became clear to his mind and made his spiritual life fuller and richer. We always are telling Thakur is Acharya and Mahacharya. Same with all his disciples, the perfect teachers. People with spiritual hankering of any type of mind, they have to go. They should not preach only Advaita Swarup. All the bhavas are based upon Advaita. That is important thing. In Mandukya Upanishad, Gautama says, there are 35 bhavas he enumerates and says infinite are the bhavas. And what the Guru teaches that the disciple accepts. And he says all these bhavas are expressions of Advaita only. And Advaita is a bhav also and realization also. So if you hold on to any bhav, but don't give up Advaita, then it is holy. That is Gautama's statement. People do not accept that way. Reject the bhavas and take Advaita. That is not what he says. And this is what Thakur has taught. That tie the Advaita knowledge in the cloth and do with whatever sadhana he wants. So there is no difference between these people. People say it is Ajatavad, Thakur put Maya and Shankar Mayavad. So his spiritual life became fuller and richer. The master felt an unspeakable joy on account of that. The reader will understand this when we mention what a friend of ours saw and heard at Dakshineshwar when he came on the morrow. Vaikuntanath Sandhya. Now we are coming to Vaikuntha's language. What Vaikuntanath said about the master's happiness over this. Putra Janma Prapti Ananda. I became acquainted with one Tarapada Ghosh as he and I served in the same office. Narendra Nath was a great friend of Tarapada. Therefore, I saw Narendra sometimes in that office. Besides, one day Tarapada told me in the course of conversation that the Paramahansa Deva loved Narendra dearly. Still, I did not try to get acquainted with Narendra. One day at noon, because Master has not told him up till now. One day at noon, I came to Dakshineshwar and saw the Master sitting alone in his room and Narendra sleeping on one side, outside the room. The Master's face was beaming with delight. No sooner had I approached and bowed down to him than he pointed to Narendranath and said, Look here, that boy is very good. His name is Narendra. He had not accepted the Divine Mother before. It was only last night that he did. He was in straitened circumstances. I therefore advised him to ask Mother for money. He, however, could not ask her for it. He said he felt ashamed. So Thakur put that point. Forgot is one thing, but he remembered and felt ashamed. These are, you may say, stages. First we forget the old, and then we understand what is unreal when we are devoted to God. Coming back from the temple, he asked me to teach him a song addressed to Mother. I taught him the song. What is the song? Ma Twamhi Tara. One line is very important there, which I feel. Tumi Sakar Akar Nirakara. You are with form, you are the form, and you are without form. Take an example, then you will understand. Now, wave of water or bubbles of water. First we look, we see only the form. No, water in that form. So that is called sakar, with form. Then what is that form? Only water. You see, all pervadingness has to be felt properly. If we fill a balloon with air, and we say balloon is filled with air, but if you take away the air, balloon will remain. And balloon is like container, air is contained. Generally, we feel sarvapitva like that. God in everything. So everything is there in that God is there. Now take the example of wave and water. Wave is water in the wave form. But if you take away the water, that form will remain. So that form also is water. Tumi sakar akar. Then what really water is? Nirakar. This is the important line here. Joining the sakar and nirakar. This is real all-pervasiveness. So in Upanishad, sab aya bhyantaro yaja. Inside, outside, everything is. Now, who is God part to create ajatva? The Britannic repeatedly tells aja, aja, aja. Shata, shata tells. No, people die in this vada. So, let us read that song.
Oh, yes.
Amar ma tum hi tara. Tara means one who takes across. Tarana kartri. Tumi trigunadhara paratpara. You hold all the three gunas and you are beyond them. Tore jani mao dina dayamai, I know you are kind to the poor. Dina dayamai. Tumi durga mete dukkhara. When we are in difficulty, you will take us out. Tumi jale, tumi stale. You are in water, you are in space, land. Tumi adya mule goma. You are at the root of everything. Acha sarva gate. Gata means hearts. You are in all the hearts. Akshapute. Akshapute, you know, the Virat or gods in the stool body is seen in the right eye. So Akshapute Tumi. Sakarakar Nirakara. तुम्ही संध्या. Sandhya means that worship. तुम्ही Gayatri, that main thing of the worship. तुम्ही Jagaddatri Goma, nourishing the world. Jagaddatri is a deity, sub poshana kartri. That also you are. तुम्ही Akula Ratrana kartri. One who has no place to go. Akul means no bank to that river. You are Trana kartri. Sada Shiver Manohara. The absolute God is attracted to you. This is the song. Let us see the English now. Thou art the Savior, O Mother, beyond the cause of all things. Thou art the substratum of all the three gunas. I know thee, O Mother, O bestower of mercy on the poor, as the destroyer of irremovable misery in great distress. Thou art, when we are in great distress, that immovable misery you are destroyed. Thou art in water, thou art in land, thou art alone are the primeval cause, O Mother, with forms and without. Here that akar is not come. With forms, the forms themselves and without forms. An important thing is missed in English translation. With forms, the forms themselves and without forms. Thou existed in all hearts and in all eyes. Thou art Sandhya, thou art Gayatri, thou art the support of the universe, O Mother. Thou takest us, helpless ones, across the shoreless sea of the world, the delighter of the heart of the eternally existing Shiva. Now what happened to Naren? I taught him the song Mother, Thou art the Savior. He sang that song the whole night. So he is sleeping now. Whole night. So all play of madness. Smiling with joy. Narendra has accepted Kali. It is very good. Is that not so? Seeing that he was happy like a child on account of that, I said, yes, sir, it is very good. A little afterwards, he smiled and said again, Narendra has accepted mother. It is very good. What do you say? I mean, the whole world is going to be benefited by that. Other than Advaita, Thakur took God as mother. And Holy Mother has said that he wanted to preach the motherhood of God. That is why Holy Mother remained you afterwards. He thus expressed his joy saying it over and over again. An example that the master regarded Narendra as is very old. Now there are two bodies. And mentally when they come same, there is no difference. Narendra came and sat beside the master in the room at about 4 in the afternoon. When he awoke, it seemed that Narendra would now take leave of him and return to Calcutta. No, about 4 in the afternoon when he awoke, it seemed that Narendra would now take leave of him and return to Calcutta. But the master entered into ecstasy as soon as he saw him. And touching Narendra's body with his, he sat almost on his lap, saying, what I see is that this body I am, and this Narendra's body too I am. Body or the person living in the body. Truly I say, I see no difference. Just as the water of the Ganga seems to be divided into two parts when a stick is placed on it, but actually there are no divisions. One whole mass of water exists as it is, so it is here. So divided by body is not there. Do you understand it? What exists but mother? What do you say? Speaking thus, he suddenly said, I will smoke. I hurried to prepare a smoke for him and gave him the hookah. Smoking a puff or two, he returned the hookah and saying, I will smoke with the bowl. Why? That we touch with our lips. Hookah we draw through a big pipe.
Yes.
Took it in his hands and began smoking. Smoking 3 or 4 puffs, he held it near Narendra's mouth and said, just have a puff through my hands. For that, all this drama. I want to smoke and
True.
appears as if natural. Narendra shrank. In India, to touch anybody's things touched by lips is not correct. And especially about the master. If any agravag is given, he would not take it. Narendra shrank, at which the master said, what ignorance? Are you and I different? Oh, ignorant. I did not like that word. Hina buddhi.
Oh.
Lower intellect, low type of intellect. What low type of understanding, what low type of knowledge. Are you and I different? This am I and that also am I. Saying so, he held both his hands again in front of Narendra's mouth with a view to making him smoke. Thus compelled, Narendra smoked 2 or 3 puffs with his mouth through the master's hands and then stopped. Seeing him stop smoking, the master himself was again going to smoke. No, that is still horrible. Narendra stretched by his lips, his hands, and that master is again taking. Narendra said hurriedly, Sir, wash your hands and then smoke. But the master paid no heed to the words. He said, You wretch, you are awfully conscious of differences. Bhari Bhed Buddhi. And spoke with his hands that had been touched by Narendra's lips and spoke many things in that ecstatic mood. The master regarded all things of which a portion had been given to anyone else as practically touched by the mouth, that is polluted and could not take them. Seeing him act in that way towards Narendra that day, I was aghast and thought how near to his heart Narendra was. Vaikuntha came to Calcutta with Narendra. Our talks went on till it was 8 p.m., 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. When we saw the master's ecstasy came to an end. Till then he was in that inebriated state. Because of the joy that Narendra had kept with the mother. Then we took leave of him and walked back. It is mentioned previously that Thakur was apprehensive. His love to Narendra did not take a normal shape till this fact happened. Then we took leave of him and walked back to Calcutta. Now, important thing from Narendra's mouth. Afterwards, on many occasions, we heard Narendra say, so this is not by Vaikuntha. No, the quotation of Vaikuntha where it has ended.
Here, our talks went till 8 p.m. It is Narendra said, but from Vaikuntha's mouth.
Okay. So still Vaikuntha is saying itself is good. Vaikuntha is saying itself. No, here in Bengali, that double quotation is not. Here single quotation.
Oh.
No, here both double quotations, so I can. So we means Vaikuntha itself. Afterwards, on many occasions, we heard Narendra say, we means including Vaikuntha, others also. Ever since our first meeting, it was Master alone and no one else, not even my mother and brothers, who always had uniform faith in me. That faith and that love of his have bound me to him forever. Because the topic is Narendra's learning from the Master. And this learning proceeded after Thakur caught him by love. And this is the great thing he learned. That faith and that love of his have bound me to him forever. It was the Master alone who knew how to love, and he did love, while others of the world but feigned love for the satisfaction of their self-interest. So God is of the nature of love. So Isha Anirvachaniya Premaswarup, indescribable love. Om Sarvadharma Stapakastam Sarvadharma Swarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Jaya